Today we're looking at this little heifer who's struggling with these twisted and hugely overgrown feet. We trim a massive Limousin bull and really struggle to get this heifer into the crush. You're watching the Hoof GP.
And I won't let it rush when I see you dance, and the moment comes when I fall and time goes slow. I fall into you.
Today you join us as we visit 3 farms in the beautiful county of Wigtonshire here in southwest Scotland. This is the very first of our visits today. This farm is very close to where I live and actually only a 5-minute drive, which is good because it means we get there early. And as you can see, there's a lot to do before we can even begin to trim the cows.
There's not a part of me that wants to say no, but I have realized I had to let go.
A lot of people won't quite realise how hard these guys work alongside me. As soon as we leave the house in the morning, we tend not to take any breaks so that we can attend to the farms as quickly as possible.
Every farm that we go to on a regular basis, and we have a routine at every single farm. However, today we've been asked to put these cows that are over there somewhere out a different door, and that sounds simple, but when the crush doesn't quite fit in, it takes a bit of jostling to get it into the right position, which is a bit of a shame because it works so well the other way. But it's fine. We always find a way. Have I got like dribbles next to my mouth? Yeah, they're all good. Cool. I've talked about it before, but the weather's been so terrible lately that the cows haven't been out. But today is actually the first time that these girls get to go out to pasture or the green grass of that they call home for the whole day for the very first time this winter. It has been a very, very long 6 or 7 months for them and for us. So we are at 3 farms today, and obviously this is the first of them. It's going to be a long one because there's 20 here, about 40 at the next one, and I've no idea how many we've got at the third one, so you guys are going to come along for the ride. Try to stick with me. It's like Krypton Factor. You probably don't know what Krypton Factor is. It's a game show. Right, come on girls. Come on girls. They know that's the way out, so they're no trouble to get out. The only trouble is they're a little bit too keen and end up all bashing each other in the process. Move up, please. Craig should move them for me. Move up, come on. Move. Come on, move. Go. Once the first one's in the crush, it's really important to have the second cow moved up so that she is ready to go, and the next cow follows on. You really need to keep them moving so that they feel relaxed and feel like this is the way out. Go on. Sometimes I wish my pole was a little bit smaller because it's so hard to manoeuvre. So these cows are the real routine cows here, but there is a cow in there with really long feet, and they actually think that it could be linked to having a bad back.
But before we get to her, we have a lot of beautiful feet to trim.
I've told my mother, I've told my friend, but I can't bring myself to tell you what I think. We built a path on stolen ground, but now I cannot seem at all to find my sound.
That's what a perfect illustration of. There are some guys in the comments would say, why haven't you cleaned their feet? Well, they're literally just about to walk back out onto the pasture. And I'm not sure how you think it's going to help. Well, you think probably that it'll stop infection.
But this cow's foot actually has nothing wrong with it whatsoever, so there's no places, no broken skin for infection to get in the first place. We're not fixing problems here, all we're doing is making sure that it's level and balanced and as beautiful as possible. This foot is starting to look good.
We want this part of the trim to be as deep as possible so that it lasts as long as possible. If I flick back to how this foot was when we first picked it up, you can actually still see the remnants of where we last modelled her out a few months ago. And now we're just repeating that process. Just get rid of all these little horrible bits of hoof horn. And actually there's a huge ridge in there that we'll cut down. You shouldn't thin this part of the foot out. You should never really run your grinder in here because it can cause severe lameness. Lovely. Next foot. So I genuinely don't know what has been wrong with this cow, but she's clearly had a big issue here and she's had a block put on there at some point. But it's been a good few months because you can see the regrowth. This is much bigger than this one now.
From our records on the computer that we keep all of our notes within, I know this cow was trimmed around 8 weeks ago and she started to make a really positive and good recovery in a relatively short amount of time. Revisits like this are absolutely essential if you're ever to completely cure a cow's foot. They're also the best way to learn because you can understand exactly what you did that went correctly and maybe perhaps what you could have done better. For this cow though, I'm very glad to say that things are looking good.
So we can clearly see what the problem has been. She's had a white line problem that has gone right up inside the inside of her white line, or the hoof wall horn, sorry, and burst out here at the top. It's pretty much healed though, so whatever we did last time has obviously done the trick. Yeah, now it's open, this duct can get out. We don't need to scratch it away or anything really. She's done. Lovely. Okay, so I'm just going to put you guys down, get on with the rest of these 19 or so cows, and I'll pick you back up when we have that little heifer in with the really long feet and the sore back. Okay, go!
And yes, that's the sound of Craig being kicked by a cow.
So I was pushing that last cow into the crush and she basically kicked me to the leg, so I'm a little sensitive now.
I never even felt a thing. Right, where were we?
I get a little starstruck when I see him. I couldn't hate him even if I tried. Am I a little crazy to believe that I could wake up with him by my side? I know I could get his attention if I worked it all out. And we got a little tipsy on a Saturday night. Yeah, I want him and I need him. He's got a one-way ticket to my heart. Ticket to my heart. He's got a one-way. Move a little closer without letting him see. My hands are shaking from the urge of being with him. I act a little dumber when I try to get his number. I'm so nervous that I'm losing grip of myself. My body's giving up on me, 'cause I don't know what to do with my fingertips.
And just like that, we are getting through these cows and getting closer to the problem one in the pen behind me.
This is what's cool about hoof trimming. Just look at the state of this foot. I mean, it's not a particularly unkept foot. Well, it kind of is. It's about 4 or 5 or 6 months since she's been trimmed and it's massively overgrown. If I just take my knife and take this one big cut from here, look at this. Look at the size of that chunk, and that's just the very first cut. All of this needs to come off.
Cows construct hoof horn using keratin, which they synthesize from proteins in the food that they eat, and to this day I still find it incredible at the rate they can construct it. These feet grow at around 7 to 8 millimeters per month every month of the year, which means they grow around 10 centimeters or 100 millimeters over the course of a year, which is why we see so many overgrown feet.
In a few seconds, we've returned this foot back to where it should be. Just look how much better it looks already. It's massively satisfying doing this for cow after cow after cow after cow after cow after cow after cow after. I wasn't stuck there, by the way. Rid of all that gunk. Widen this a little bit more actually. And look at that. Like if we just compare this, it's not beautiful, but this compared to the one before, and just look at the difference in that for a few seconds work. Right, so I did say we need to get this cow with the sore back and the really big feet out of this pen, and sometimes that can be a struggle. She's in with the calvers, the cows who are just about to give birth to their calves. She's been segregated off there because she's not walking the best. Right, wish us luck.
So the cows in this pen are all due to give birth, and actually one of them has given birth. You can see the calf there on the bottom left hand side of the screen. We're constantly keeping an eye on him just in case the cows get rowdy and could end up having an accident. Luckily though, we completely avoid it and the calf is absolutely fine. And eventually, we do get the heifer out of the pen and up the race.
So this cow has hurt her back. Look how long these feet are. These are really long compared to the size of cow that she is. If I put my hand up there, look, this is how much has to come off. A good 2.5 inches, I would say. And it's exactly the same story on all of her feet. Just look at the size of these front ones especially. These are colossal. They're huge. Really huge. This isn't neglect before anybody says it. This cow hurt her back and they've been scared or cautious, and rightly so, to put her into the crush. It's only now that they've decided that enough's enough. They're worrying that her feet are now affecting her back. You know, it's a balancing act. Put her in the crush, hurt her back even more, paralyse her, make her like so she literally can't walk, or let her feet grow, or right, her feet are too big, right, we're gonna suffer it, we're gonna go for it. And that's the stage that they're at, so yeah.
So this cow most likely has a case of laminitis. The lamina corium is what basically connects the interior of a cow's foot to the hard hoof horn of the exterior, the part that we can see right now. And if you look at the base of her foot right now, you can see those yellow and reddish stripy parts of her hoof horn. That is laminitis. You can actually see the patterns of the laminae which have been stretched because of the inflammation which has been happening within the hoof capsule itself. This can happen for a whole host of different reasons, but usually it's because at some point the animal has been ill.
Much better. Look at the size of this foot compared to this nozzle. Look, if we hold it up there, you can truly appreciate how long this is.
When laminitis happens, it doesn't just happen to one foot. It's a systemic problem, i.e. it's literally within the system of the cow herself. So all of the laminae and all of the feet are affected, and that is exactly what we're seeing on this little heifer here. My only problem is the interior of the foot has altered from what I know it to be, so I need to be consciously and constantly checking that the foot is not going too soft and I'm not taking away too much hoof horn. These feet can be truly problematic for any hoof trimmer to trim. Using this mixing tip, I force it up between the two claws to separate them so that I can work more easily on each individual claw without accidentally encroaching onto the other.
What a difference. Tried not to take too much height off the heels here, but she was slightly overgrown, so we have actually taken a bit off the inside there. Right, now if we hold this nozzle up, you can see the difference. It was down here somewhere, and now the nozzle's actually longer on the foot. Ideal. Next foot. It's exactly the same here. These have got a real twist in them. Again, massive, massive, massive feet. Especially for the size of the cow, because this is just a young heifer.
I've told you before that the outer wall horn is the architectural part of a cow's foot, and this illustrates that perfectly. It's easily the hardest part of hoof horn available to us on any cow's foot, and it's seen here. The outer part is higher and the sole is lower because it's flaking and wearing away much more easily. which adds yet another layer of discomfort to this cow with every step that she takes. Now, I will remind you, this cow has a back issue, and that is the only reason that these feet are overgrown, because the farmer didn't want to risk her health by putting her into a crush and possibly hurting her even further.
I'm not quite finished with the grinder, but I really want to see where I am with these feet, and this twist here is just not good. I don't want to put the grinder up between her feet though, so using a knife is a better idea, although it is really tough stuff. Right, back at it with the grinder, I think.
I must point out that usually we wouldn't remove any height from the heel of a cow's hoof. However, in this case, her feet are overgrown across the entirety of the sole, so we can't leave the heels just as high as they were before, because we need her to walk more comfortably.
Just take a little run right around this foot. Look how twisted this thing is and how overgrown it is. Just look how high this side of her foot is compared to the inside. This is a really strange shaped foot. If we take a picture there, like that, and then we'll show you afterwards.
Again, here you're seeing the effects of laminitis and the effects of the outer wall horn being so much harder than that solar hoof horn. Again, it is remaining high while the sole flakes and wears away. But all of that is just about to be fixed.
Just look how her feet cross over. That's incredible, isn't it? Look. Completely crisscrossed over. Need to be there to not be crossed over. Well, I'm gonna have to do it.
I said earlier that you shouldn't run the blade of your grinder up between a cow's toes, and I actually stand by that, but there are rare instances where you should. In this case, her feet were overlapping, so they weren't sitting flat against my flipper part of the crush, meaning that I couldn't get a true handle on exactly what needed to be taken away and what needed to be left.
She's completely bruised really deeply here, and I can't get the feet back to where I want them to be. She's got bruising on both claws. Messy. This bruising is going all the way through to being a sole ulcer, and now we're going to have to put a horseshoe block on her to avoid both of those problem areas.
We have to modify the horseshoe block just so that it goes on properly.
Oh, fingers. Ah! So that's answered a lot of your guys' questions, or you folks. You guys ask a lot of questions about what to do when there's a problem with both claws. Well, this is it. We use a horseshoe or half a horseshoe to force all of the weight onto one claw, the one that we think will heal more quickly. So if I remove this blue roll, you'll be able to see exactly what is wrong. There's a weeping sole ulcer right here, and this is exactly the same. The interior of her foot is completely askew with. All of the bones have descended further than they should have into the hoof capsule, which is causing these issues. Off camera, the other foot is actually bruised as well. And because this is like this one, I'm not going to take any risks with that one. So she's got a block on both front feet. So as she's coming out of the crush here, you can actually see her back feet are looking fantastic. They're almost exactly where they should be, and that's fantastic news for us. Her front feet though, obviously, have now been reduced almost to where they should be. We couldn't reduce them as far as we wanted, but those two blocks will lift all of the weight off those bruised and bashed areas, and she will be much more comfortable, especially because she's going back into her straw pen.
And with that, we are finished at farm number 1. Or almost. Actually, as we were packing up to put the crush away, the farmer managed to grab hold of us because they'd forgotten a cow who was in dire need of some quick attention from us. So instead of set up where we were, because the KVK runs on battery power, we were able to set up exactly where we needed to be without having to push it all the way back into the shed. Luckily for us as well, it was a very quick fix and the problem with the cow's feet wasn't all that major, so we were able to deal with it in a very timely fashion before putting her back in the shed, loading the crush up properly this time and getting on with washing the whole entire operation, ready for farm number 2.
So that's farm number 1 finished up. We're packing up almost for the second time there. That last cow was a cow that we were supposed to be told it was to do and didn't. Sometimes that happens, but luckily the farmer caught us before we went and we could quickly set up. Good thing about the KVK is it's actually run by batteries. Batteries? So we didn't even need to plug it in. The bad thing about today is we've got every gate under the sun and we need to load them all up again to move to the next farm. Right, the good news is that we are all packed up, we just need to wash up. The bad news, or frustrating news is, Mark, have a word. Mark, has just said that we can hopefully actually get onto their race system at the next farm, which meant we didn't need to bring any of these gates at all. It's good that we can get on the crush, not frustrating at all that he didn't tell us before we left. Right, wash up time. We'll just give Mark a quick call to figure out exactly what's happening so we don't get there, set up and then realise we didn't have to at all. Oh, he's already tried to call us. 2 or 3 more than you thought. I'm guessing you haven't counted specifically that it is 2 or 3. Where are we and what are we doing? And are we using your race or are we setting up? We've got other gates like. Okay, right, that'll do. We're literally just finishing up, so we'll be about 25 minutes. Okay, see you in a bit, bye. You heard it here, folks. 2 or 3 more than they expected. And they've no idea where we're trimming yet. Guess we'll find out when we get there. What a gorgeous day. What a difference, isn't it?
I'm roasting, that's why I took my jumper off.
It's only 9 degrees, but it just makes a massive, massive difference. In blue skies, the change. That's just the grass beginning to flutter properly as well now, can't you?
Can we come put down the trailer?
Graham just offered. Thank you, Graham. I don't know if you heard that. Graham just offered to jump onto the trailer to film us driving along at like 50 or 60 miles an hour. No, Graham, we won't do that.
We're one good hand.
Graham's only got one good hand as well. And I can't decide whether I would like him to use that good hand to hold onto the crush and not fall off, or hold onto the camera and not wreck it. Camera, mate. It's a camera. Right, that's us pretty much there. So a complete change of location here. We're actually going to set up here in this feed passageway. We've only got about 25 to do, so shouldn't be too bad. And it is lucky that we brought all those gates. They're going to come in really handy. Right, we just got to quickly build this race, and then we can start trimming.
Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday. Baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey. Come on now and take my hand.
And just like that, we're all set up.
All we need now is some cows, and luckily there's a load of them down there. Days like this make you really think. We don't ever come here really, well, we do and we don't. We've been here about 3 or 4 times before trimming, but we're setting up in a completely different place. Well, actually Craig and Kevin set up where we set up this time, last time. How did that go, Craig?
Horribly.
You live and learn. They didn't have any gates with them, they didn't really know where they were trimming, but this time we've come prepared. Totally not their fault, by the way. We just didn't know where they were going to be trimming. Right, I'm going to get these cows in. Come on.
Cows are creatures of habit and detest anything new, so our crush being where it is an anxious experience for the cows.
a bit reluctant to go past the crush there. Something new and shiny and green that isn't normally there, and cows get really scared of things like that. Does anybody else, when they try to take their jumper off, basically get completely undressed? I wouldn't mind if I wasn't quite so chubby right now. Right, let's spring into action, get through these cows and get to the next place. This is going to take some time.
First cow in the crush.
It's just a relief to get going when you're at the next place. You just want everything in between to go as quickly as possible, and it's not been too bad here.
The farm you can see us trimming on right now belongs to a farmer who owns multiple farms. And that farmer also buys up herds of cattle from people who are having dispersal sales. In other words, they're getting out of the farming game.
This is a cow that's actually come from somewhere else, which is really interesting because it's Hoof Grip Pro that's on the base of the foot and we didn't put it on, which is quite cool to see. The trouble is this block's wearing too much at the back and not the front, so she's walking away back. She's got toe necrosis, which is all the way up in there. We're going to reduce this and put a new block on though. She's actually got two blocks on, look. One here held on by Hoof Grip Pro and one here held on by
And if that was as clear as I think it was, I should probably repeat myself. So this cow has actually got a double block on, one which is being held on by white glue, and the second or top one that I've just removed, which is being held on by our green glue. We also need to reduce the size of the affected claw to make sure that we can get the weight entirely away from that sore, painful area. Toe necrosis is easily one of the most painful ailments we deal with.
So we're going to replace those two old and worn out blocks by one ultra thick, big wooden block. Again, held on by Hoof Grip Pro. Really cool to see so many people around the world using Hoof Grip Pro now. Really, really cool. And it working so well. Right, so this is toe necrosis. It's an infection that's eating right up at the heart of this cow's foot. You can actually see a bit of fluid coming out of there.
All bones have a blood supply, and in the case of toe necrosis, as the name might suggest, the blood supply is being killed off by infection, which is exceptionally difficult to deal with.
Just reducing the size of this as much as possible. We take it back to bare corium and then wrap it with magical paste. Just look at how much of this foot has been taken away. Right, you've seen me on these farms before. It's a group of farms owned by the same guy, and he buys in cows from other farms which maybe haven't been doing too well, and then we come in and do as much as we can to fix them, and that's exactly what these cows are here. Right, that's her, done.
It's only around 11 o'clock here now, but we still have a lot to do.
Hey, now look into my eyes. You can use them as a mirror, baby. You're my ticket to paradise. Hey, now everything's alright. We've been longing for each other, and it feels like I'm on cloud nine.
And finally, we get a coffee. It's just nice standing here, just... Craig seems keen to get back to work.
You don't have to.
When it's a longer day like this, Craig's always keen just to keep going so we don't kind of drag it out any longer. And he's right, you need the coffee, but you need to keep going too.
And even with a belly full of coffee, this next cow really can test our patience. These cows are much stronger and larger than I am, so it may look like she's just trotting past me, but I need to stay out of her way because it can really turn nasty very quickly indeed. With all that being said though, you need to remember that at the end of the day, they're just scared.
It's not going well. Hi! Get on! Hey! 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 She's really starting to think about going for me now, which is making me nervous. try and give her time. Let her find it herself. And Kevin saying he was going to leave her until the race was completely empty so that we can run her straight in, which might work. I think once there's two of us here it'll make a big difference. Don't want Kevin to be right though, over me.
Get up.
Right, round 3.
Again and again and again we try and fail yet again. It looks like we're going to have to leave her. Eventually she understands exactly where it is we want her to go. Perseverance pays off.
As easy as that. In all seriousness, she's just scared. It is seriously frustrating, dangerous, annoying, upsetting and makes you angry when they're like that. But at the end of the day, she is just scared of what's going to happen. Which doesn't make it any easier to deal with though.
I've told my mother, I've told my friend, but I can't bring myself to tell you what I think. We built a past on stolen ground, but now I cannot see.
You see all of that nonsense. There's nothing actually wrong with any of her feet.
It's all broken. It's like I lost my wings. My heart is only playing on a single string.
They're just tagging these calves just now, but they've all got small problems. So I'm afraid I'm going to be very uninteresting for the next 20 or 30 seconds here. We're just going to get through these as quickly as we can. Trimming cattle this size is very, very tricky in any crush because they're not, these crushes aren't designed for cattle as small as this. These are basically calves. So yeah, let's go. So you can see because they're so small we can rumble around and kick around and stuff. Get really wound up. Also, we're not going to be routine trimming these cattle, so we're only going to trim the foot that is lame because we need them out of the cut. I'm stuttering. We need them out of the crush as quickly as we possibly can. This is the foot we think that she is sore on. Yeah, I need a block. Craig, a small wooden one, please. Yep. So you can see right up the side wall. Oh, look at that. You can see right up the side wall is the problem. Actually, it's going to come right onto the sole of the foot too. Yeah, look. Right, I'll prepare this for a block quickly. Right. So the absolute priority here is to get the block on as quickly as we possibly can. If these cattle start rumbling around too much and like that, we just need them back out. So we're going to get through them as quickly as we possibly can. I would imagine there will be some serious commotion trimming these next 10 or so cattle. So it's a white line problem. You can see it going right the way up there. They look rough doing this, don't they? Get the wash, please.
When you're taught how to trim cows' feet, you learn by a certain set of measurements. The dorsal or frontal wall should be around 75mm long. The tip of the toe should be about 5mm thick. But all of that goes out of the window when you're treating cows or cattle that are as small as this. You work to the size of the animal you have in your crush at that set time.
All that gunk coming out of it.
Meaning sometimes the feet will be longer than they theoretically should be on paper, and sometimes they should be shorter. In this case, it's definitely the latter.
There it is, there.
Right. Okay, so underneath this paper towel is the root of the problem, and it's clearly been a very serious one. It's covered in dermatitis as well, so we need to spray it down before we wrap it to get as much iodine on that as possible. That next calf is not happy at all. And that's her done. Just drop all 4 feet and let her out. I'm really not sure what foot this animal, boy, bull, is lame on. Bull calf, sorry. Straight away, there is the issue there, on this foot anyway.
These cattle have had bed and breakfast lodgings for the past few months. They've been wintered away from this farm and been looked after by a completely different farmer, and as a result, some of them have come back with a bit of digital dermatitis affecting the heels of their feet. This painful affliction needs our attention.
So this wee fella has got himself covered in dermatitis. You can see the backs of his heels being eaten away by the bacteria. I have to gently try and pry some of this callousation off. Use the back of my knife as well. In fact, it must be being treated because it's actually starting to die. We don't need the wrap anymore, Craig. I'd asked Craig to get a wrap because I thought it was all still alive, but mostly dead, which means Craig is pretty much pointless.
And with that said, on we go.
'Cause if I'm the ocean, you're the rain. We only need each other, baby, you know we're the same. Let's run away. All I need is you, now and always.
Again, this dermatitis is dead.
We're taking our time and the cattle aren't making it easy on us, but we are definitely getting there.
We could run away. You and me together, baby, we don't gotta stay. Let's lose our minds.
Craig just made the ultimate mistake. You know how I've put a couple of blocks on the wrong way round lately? Well, Craig, he put it on the wrong foot. Easy mistake to make. When you
Have you made this mistake before, Graham?
I haven't actually.
Ah, well.
At least he's saying it's not an easy. I mean, it is an easy. No, at least it's not. It's not an easy mistake. It's not an easy mistake to make. It is an easy one to fix, though. Good illustration of how good Hoof Grip Pro is, though.
That hasn't actually set yet, to be honest.
That was below the belt. Okay, so these Starks, as we call them, which is sort of an adolescent cow or bull or heifer or bullock or whatever you want to call it, but Starks, cows or animals this size, they've all had a total range of problems. Some of these are bought in, some of them are bred here, but there are thousands of cows on this collection of farms, so actually there's not many that are lame. We'll get number 4401 in the crush here and see what is up with him. What's being said here?
Oh, just Kevin's bad aiming.
Kevin's just shot his load of iodine all over Craig's arm. Can we just take a moment to look at the ridiculous size of Craig's arms? What? Look!
What are you doing?
I wonder what he does every night to build his arms up so much.
Ask your sister.
Yeah, Craig's married to my sister. Yeah, I won't ask her. Look, and it is crisis averted. So she had a little problem here in her white line, and Craig's taken that glue off, and obviously it made no difference whatsoever to the animal itself. He's made a really nice job of modelling it out. Actually, Kevin has got almost an identical problem there as well on this foot, and he's made just as good a job of trimming it out as well. Right, last little start here before we move on to the next farm.
And as the saying goes, you save the best to last.
Go on, up!
That was a nearly.
It was a nearly, but I fixed it.
So hard dealing with them when they're this size. We just got to wait for them to calm down when they've been in the crush for a second, like she has now, and we can lift her. Right, let's take a look at what's wrong with this little calf's front left foot.
Unfortunately, just like humans, cows come in all different shapes and sizes, colours and attitudes, and this one's attitude is a little fiery, but we need to persevere with it because, as you can see, the faraway digit is in much need of our help.
So we seem to have seen a lot of this type of problem with these little stirks. So I think they're probably at a feed fit. In fact, is that full of stones? I think they must be at a feed fence and pushing too hard in competition with each other. And this is what happens. You end up with lots of these white line issues on the front inside claws. You got the wash, Craig? Lovely. So we are finished here and we've got about another 25 or 30 to go at Mark's place just down the road. Luckily though we don't have to wash up here because they're actually the same farms. It's the same manure going between the same farms day in, day out. So all we'll do is pack everything up as quickly as we can, get down there and get through those cows.
It's a relief to be packing up here for the day. We're keen to get to the third farm to understand exactly how many cattle we've got left to do. Although in my haste to get to the next farm, I take a wrong turn.
Too many days in the darkness without a glimpse of the light. Running tired and broken and scared, but I swear I'll never give up the fight. I see you broken and beat, head pulled down over your eyes. Every part of you wants to surrender, but darling, you were meant to survive.
That wasn't too bad. It's been about 10 minutes since we started taking the kit to pieces and now we are almost fully set up and pretty much ready to go actually because there's a cow already in the race. Starting to get tired.
Every star, we are born again. Open your heart, spend less time in your head.
Mrs. HGP just brought some food and I am very grateful to her for bringing it out. I'm starving. Although I can't eat any sweeties. Candy. This is kind of a sweetie, I suppose. Kind of.
We all got one of them.
It wouldn't matter what you brought them, it would be wrong.
Oh, don't worry, I'm grateful. Because Ashley obviously went to all that effort to rent out stuff, but just wondering if I got one of them grenades right there.
No, you didn't. Come on, girls, cut and boy, move. Come on, move. Go on, boy. Because of their herding instinct, whenever you've got them in a pen and they don't want to go somewhere, they all cluster together and put their heads down, and it makes it incredibly difficult to get them up the race. So this big guy standing right here is definitely lame, and he's actually got a bandage on from when we treated him. Did we treat him?
Must have been, yeah.
I don't remember treating him, to be honest. There was a bull that had a really big thing on his hip though, wasn't there?
I think you left and me and Craig done him.
Anyway, as you can probably tell, we can't quite remember what was wrong, but we do know he's definitely lame and he's still got his bandage on, so it's time to get him in the crush. By process of elimination and our fantastic investigatory skills, I said it first time, and our fantastic investigatory skills, we've deducted that it's his front foot that is sore. Plus he's got a block and a bandage on it, so it's fairly obvious. Can you find out when he was trimmed, Craig, or not? Okay, so he's obviously living on straw, which is why his foot is so dirty. He's actually got a double block on here, I think. Hoof Grip Pro really doing its thing here. Keeping blocks on bulls is not an easy feat, but he has still got his bandage off, which we're just about to cut off. Look at that. That's salicylic acid after it's been on for a few weeks. I just scratch off all the surface stuff. Oh, it's still open and still raw. Just remove some of this excess salicylic. You can see it's really done its job. All of this area here has been clearly been completely open and is now starting to fill in again with new hoof horn. Just going to trim him. He's gone down on his knees, as bulls tend to love to do lately. This is much healthier than it must have been last time. Need to get that top bit out. And that's the bit that's continuing to cause them bother. His foot's actually looking really good. We're definitely not going to wrap it again, and I would never even wrap something like that. So that's a pure sign, or a really good sign I should say, that he has improved. We'll leave these two blocks in place because they're doing a really good job of keeping it up off the ground, but I've just spotted something a little untoward. Because his bandage has been on so long, it's started to cut into his tissue a little bit. Dermatitis is really easily contracted, so it started to take hold. Right. Smell that. Ugh. It's no good, is it? So off camera, the guys kept bringing us more and more and more. Basically what's happened is we've had an influx of cattle from all over different farms, and when they come in they found a lot of lame cattle that they haven't been looking after but they do own, which has led to us having lots of little groups of cattle from lots of different farms coming into us constantly, and it's ended up being an incredibly long day. It's actually not that late, it's only 10 to 4 here, but it's been non-stop for the whole day. We've put on a huge amount of blocks, which really takes its toll on you. Anyway, all that remains for us to do today is pack this beautiful KVK up. Well, though it doesn't look that beautiful right now, it's covered in excrement. Wash it up, get home, and fill our bellies. You've been watching the Hoof GP. Thank you very much if you've managed to stick around for this extra long version of the Hoof GP.